Hypothetical situation for you. Your neighbor just retired, but now it's not been too long and they're going back to work. And maybe you're retired or you're about to retire and you're saying, I don't want the same thing to happen to me. Well, we've got a great viewer question that addresses something very similar to that scenario. We're going to cover it on today's show. So let Frank and I get started and come back and join us on the Time Blueprint. Yeah, if you're having second thoughts or worried about having second thoughts about retiring, this is the episode for you. Hello, I'm Walter Storholt alongside Frank Oliver of Oliver Asset Management. He's the founder, a financial advisor who walks us through trying to understand a little bit more of the financial landscape, where our role fits into planning for retirement and how we can do it all a little bit better. So looking forward to hopping in with you today, Frank. First of all, though, how are things going?
Things are good. We just got back from vacation. We got to go see where John Lennon lived.
Very cool.
Right. Got to go to Strawberry Fields.
Nice.
Right. Got to see a bunch of classic old school churches that have been around since the 1700s, a bunch of castles, nice cruise. So it was good. You think I'd come back super relaxed.
Yes.
But these vacations kind of, sometimes they wear you out more than relax you.
It's a classic vacation from the vacation.
It is vacation from the vacation. So we're not a little jet lag today, but I'm glad you're here. So we're gonna make this happen.
Well, thanks for pushing through and doing the show with us today. So we've got a question. It's from Bob. And Bob says, my neighbor retired 2 years ago and has decided that he needs to go back to work because money is just too tight. I just retired last month and I think we're fine, but now I'm a little worried the same thing might happen to me. How can I make sure I don't have to go back to work? So let's zoom out a little bit before we answer Bob's question directly. Yep. Have you gotten this kind of question from clients before?
We get that question all the time. And it really is a topic of just proper planning, to be quite honest.
Okay.
So we will not recommend anybody retire until we build them a plan. So now, Bob, that you're thinking about retiring, I would definitely come in and have us look at a plan for you just to make sure that you are on track for retirement, that you don't need to work another couple of years.
It really helps, but it doesn't always mean that somebody's not going to have worries or second guesses or concerns once they hit retirement. I'm thinking of my parents. They retired with a plan, but a few months in, they were still trying to get used to living on a new budget and not having bonuses come through from work and having that little bit more flexibility in the schedule.
Well, knowing when to elect Social Security is a big one. Knowing what your budget is huge. And a lot of people, when they retire, we call that the go-go years. They want to travel really hard out of the gate. So we need to make sure that that's included in the budget. Are we going to do Roth conversions? What do we have as far as debt load? Are we going to pay off the house? Are we going to keep the mortgage payment? A lot of factors go into this planning process. So it's really important just to look at all of those components, and make sure that everything is in place.
When someone's in that first few years of retirement and even maybe the first few months, do you have a check-in with them or a review appointment to say, hey, we were expecting you to spend, I'm just going to pick a random number, $3,000 a month in retirement. In these first few months, you've been spending $5,000. So what's happened? What's changed? Do you look under the hood in that way? Is that
we
one
do.
Way to assess this?
Yeah, and we do quarterly reviews. So when somebody becomes a client, out of the gate, we do a quarterly review, right? And we do evaluate their budget. We make everybody fill out an expense plan, and we adjust that on a quarterly basis as needed, just to see how everything's performing and working for them. And then we'll just look down the road. I mean, if we take inflation into consideration, paying off some debts, and use a conservative 4 or 5% rate of return. We don't want to, show them a 10% rate of return because everything looks good at a 10% rate of return. Right. But if we can show them a 4 or 5% rate of return and their retirement plan looks good for the rest of their life, then we feel comfortable with that. But it's really good just to, get a plan built and look into all of that.
So this emotional decision that people tend to have out of this, is that something that you're mostly seeing in folks who haven't gone through that planning process and they're retiring with just half of a plan or kind of a verbalized plan? That's where this uncomfortable element tends to seep in more?
You got the 3 biggest days of your life: marriage, right? Your first kid, and retirement.
Yeah.
And retirement is a real tricky one because people are very emotional about it. They've been working their entire life, and all of a sudden that all stops and their life changes, hopefully for the better.
Yeah.
But it is a very, very emotional decision for them. And we've coached a lot of people through retirement, and there is some nervousness that goes along with that. But I think once we show them the plan, I have a lot of people, once we build this plan, we run them through it, they truly feel much better. You can just see this sigh of relief come over them that I can actually do this. And I know I can do this. I can confidently retire based on looking at these numbers.
Okay.
So
let's zoom in to Bob's question again.
Okay.
So again, his neighbor retired 2 years ago and has decided to go back to work because he needs more money. So that's causing the angst as he's watching the neighbor.
Sure.
He just retired last month, thinks he's fine, but a little worried that he's going to have the same thing happen to him in a year or two. So he's asking, how can I make sure I don't go back to work? So if Bob came in and visited with you with that question, take us specifically what you would kind of talk to him about, what you'd take him through.
Sure. Well, we would look at electing Social Security differently if something in the plan was not working. So if he came back in a year, which again, we would meet quarterly, but if something wasn't working in a year, we would just look at possibly electing Social Security benefits differently. Okay. Or honestly, maybe Bob would have to go back to work. And that's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
I have a lot of clients that they go back to work just because they want to. But if you need to go back to work and, sell fishing gear, go to work at Home Depot, honestly, it's not the end of the world. So we would look at all of those different factors. Don't buy a new car. Maybe slow down on your vacations. Look at Social Security election dates a little bit differently. Maybe pick up a part-time job. There's a lot of ways to make your retirement successful. It's not broken to the point that you can't succeed. There's always some ways to adjust that.
Or you go through a true plan, Bob, and you find out you indeed are in great shape.
That's
and
exactly right.
You get the confidence that you're not going to be like your neighbor. So this is all why it's so important to get a plan in place in the first point, because you're going to avoid these kind of second guesses.
And I hate to say this, but a lot of times people will spend more time planning a vacation than they'll spend planning their retirement for the rest of their life.
That's a great point.
It's all in the plan.
Well, keep in mind that retirement should feel like freedom. It shouldn't be a fearful time. That would be a very clear indicator that you don't have a great plan in place if you have more fear than freedom during your retirement years. So if you're trying to, figure this all out and get some clarity and clear up some of these worries, don't hesitate to reach out to Frank and the team at Oliver Asset Management. We've got contact information in the description of today's show. You can book a time to meet with Frank and go more in depth into your particular situation from your smartphone or computer if you want to meet remotely, or come into the office in Colorado and have a one-on-one chat. Again, find all that contact information in the description of today's show to make life easy on you. Frank, thanks for all the help.
Thank you, Walter. Good seeing you.
We'll see everybody next time on The Time Blueprint. Don't forget to subscribe and follow on your favorite podcasting apps or on YouTube, and we'll see you next time. Investment advisory services offered through Creative One Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Oliver Asset Management and Creative One Wealth are unaffiliated entities. Licensed insurance professional. This information is for educational purposes only and should not be construed as advice or a recommendation for your specific circumstances. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Insurance product guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. We are not affiliated with any government agency and do not provide tax or legal advice.